All right. Hello, friends. Welcome back. My name is Octavia, and this is the Planet Medicine podcast. I'm so excited to be with you today with my good friend Leyland. And we're here to have a in-depth and joyful conversation about the magic of living water. I was so lucky to meet Leyland and his wife Malia, who I met initially. We were working at the school together at an elementary school in Hawaii. And I was supervising on a field trip, and Malia and I got to have a conversation and really nerd out about water, which was so exciting for me because it's been a big journey for me. And I'm just so delighted to be having this conversation with Leyland because ever since that introduction, these folks have felt like family to me. And so I'm excited to dive into this conversation and to introduce Leyland as someone who's sincerely changed my life. So Leyland, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure um, meeting you and being a part of your life as well. I feel like you're a really awesome person.
Thanks so much. So I just wanted to jump right in, and because I feel like one reason I wanted to have you on the podcast is because you have such a sort of encyclopedic understanding of water, but it's delivered in a way that's really easy to understand. So is there anything that you just want to kick off with, just to start off about how you came to this water, Kangen water, and like what prompted you to start this journey?
Gosh, it was about a year and a half ago, back in January 2022, that I got a freak, just mind-blowing event happened. I came home and my wife asked me to feel her chest. And on her breast, she had a lump, and I immediately knew something was wrong. And what immediately went through my mind was not only that we need to get this taken care of as fast as possible, but we need to try and figure out how to get rid of it. And I had the gut feeling that it was cancer. I didn't know for sure, but I had a feeling. And I've known about alkaline water actually for about 10 years. Got introduced to it back when I was, actually in California, helping out a friend, and he had a machine. And he had me try the water for about a month while I was working with him. And I really noticed a big difference. Felt like I lost a lot of weight that I didn't probably need to lose, but it was gut weight. It was a lot of, the junk stuff in your intestines that I flushed out, and lost about 5 or 10 pounds of just unhealthy weight. Anyway, never looked back at it until 2022, when my wife had this lump in her breast, and I immediately thought alkaline water is what she needs, because cancer, as far as I was told, can't survive in an alkaline state.
Right.
So I immediately said, we need to get your body to an alkaline state so that cancer cannot survive.
Yeah, beautiful. That's awesome. Yeah, and that really resonates. I had a similar I guess lesson around alkalinity in my own health journey that I've been on too. And really, I mean, that's what so much of it comes back to, is that disease and any sort of imbalance, illness or injury can heal more quickly, more easily, when there is an alkaline environment, right, that it's in.
Right.
This is pretty fundamental. in a biological sense. So that's great that you were able to like instantly kind of go there. Um, was there any,
Yeah,
was there anything that led you to that, like understanding of alkalinity?
as far as the alkalinity part, I didn't really understand the science behind it. I just
Yeah.
knew that from what I'd heard and read, that cancer survives in an acidic state, and
Okay.
everything we do in our life is acidic. The air we
That's right.
breathe is acidic. The food we eat is acidic. The water we drink is acidic. So
Yeah.
to get into an alkaline state, you have to consume alkaline water
That's right.
or alkaline food.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of alkaline food out there that
No.
most of us are consuming. So it is tricky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Basically, it's become a lifestyle change for me and my wife with my family. Really have had to make some major changes. We
Yeah.
immediately cut sugar out of our diet as much as possible,
Yeah.
which is probably the hardest thing that I've had to do. I mean,
Absolutely.
I still eat sugar every day, but I try and consume it on a lesser level than
Mm.
previous.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, even fruits that we eat that are, you get up in the morning, you eat an orange or a cantaloupe or watermelon, it has sugar in it. The difference is rather than sucrose, it's glucose,
Yeah.
or glucose versus sucrose, excuse me.
Yeah.
Um, and the glucose and sucrose are totally different sweeteners, and one's good for you, one's bad for you.
Yeah.
Um,
That's right.
and so it's just a matter of making that, more readily available in your own daily life. And
Yeah.
it's a hard change. It's been a year and a half now, and I'm still adjusting to it. It's not
Really?
something that happened overnight.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fascinating. I think that I would imagine you probably feel better though, right? Like having
Absolutely,
made those
absolutely.
changes. So that's like the rewarding part of it. Yeah, like you make the sacrifices and then it's like, oh, I actually feel better. So
It's funny you say that, because I didn't really think about it, but I haven't really had any arthritic types of pains in the last year and a half.
yeah,
And I had a lot of that previous to that. My joints would be
really.
stiff and tight, and you'd wake up in the morning a little stiff and need to stretch. And especially after work,
Yeah,
I'd come
right.
home and have to stretch for half an hour just so I can go to bed.
Mm,
I feel like in the last year and a half, I've not done any of that. And
yeah,
I have to say, it's got to be something to do with the water.
absolutely. And again, it's going back to that alkalinity and just the fact that when, you know, I was introduced to the concept of alkalinity through a healer that I found, a traditional Chinese medicine doctor who also he was a bit integrative and had a degree in chiropractic and nutrition. So he, when I had a back injury and I couldn't walk for several months, and he was the one who kind of got me back on my feet and got me into alkalinizing my system because I was in sort of a non-recovery from this back injury. And he was a true healer, is a true healer. And but he had this way of explaining it like, you know, each organ, each joint, each part of the body is a place where water needs to reach, like hydration needs to reach. And
Absolutely.
he used to explain it like it's like when a river dries up and can't reach a place, then there becomes problems in that place when the river isn't able to access it. And it's the same in the body, that if we can't get hydration, if we can't get nutrients and everything that comes with water into our systems, and that's when they start to break down.
Right.
So I just wanted to mention him because that was just, I hear his voice in my head all the time, like fondly.
Uh,
Um, but it's just how these things come to us in life. and they kind of build on themselves. It's like you said, you had a friend who had a machine and you used it and it was like, oh, I kind of feel good. It's like these paths to healing and to feeling better proactively. Like they
Right,
kind of come to us, and then the curiosity happens, and then later it's like, oh, I could really use that.
right, right. Yeah,
It's
it's interesting you
fascinating.
mention that because, my friend Mikkel, who introduced me to it 10 plus years ago now, he he's an older gentleman. He's in his late 60s now, and one of my good friend's parents actually. And I was up in California helping him farm, and he had previously moving to California. He used to live here on Kauai, and he fell into the dump while he was taking trash to the dump,
Oh
and he
no.
fell about 15, 20 feet down into the dump receptacle and broke
Wow.
his back and
Oh
several
my
ribs
God.
and multiple other bones throughout his body. It was a pretty life-threatening accident,
Yeah.
and he wasn't sure if he was ever going to be the same again. And I'm pretty sure that's when he got involved in the alkaline water.
Yeah.
And it's totally changed his life. He's walking again. He's,
Wow.
totally one of the healthiest men I know. And at his age, it's a remarkable thing to say. He's
Wow.
very, very healthy for 60-plus-year-old gentleman. And I
Oh,
mean,
good for him.
he gets up in the morning at 7 in the morning and goes till like 8 or 9 o'clock every day, hard, like full
Wow.
on. But I have a hard time keeping up with him. I mean, he's an
It's
amazing man.
it's funny you say that because whenever I was around you and Malia, I was always looking at you guys like you guys have so much energy. Like I feel like you guys just, I don't know, I always had that sense. And now I'm starting to feel that more in myself now that I've got a machine and I've been drinking the water for a few months. Um, I do notice I'm like, wow, I'm still going. Like I still have juice,
Right.
bandwidth to deal with stuff and to, when I usually like later in the day or at night in the evenings when I'm kind of winding down, like I'm like, no, I could just, do a few more things. So it's interesting the subtle ways that, like you said, like not having those aches and pains and not having,
Right.
it's a subtle but big thing at the same time to notice those
Mhm.
changes.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like I didn't feel any drastic change like
yeah, go on.
overnight or anything. It's definitely been a little bit of a process, but like I said, I
Yeah.
didn't really think about the fact that I wasn't stretching anymore. I wasn't having those aches and pains until I actually went, wait a minute, it's been a while, like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That moment of like, wait, this is different.
and I haven't done anything different other than
Yeah,
change the water in my life. So yeah.
yeah, very cool. So how would you say having this water, I know that it's an investment, obviously. And I know for myself, like I've really changed the way that I've thought about well, a lot of things, right? I mean, you spoke about the gentleman who fell, had that bad injury, and then had to recover. And it's like I see this so much in the realms of, when I was teaching yoga, people coming to yoga from a place of injury. It's like people coming for astrology readings. It's like something's happened in their life and they're trying to make sense of it and needing some
Right.
kind of, you know, um, guidance or just a place to reflect on the experience so they can move through it. And I feel like it's similar with this water. It's like, a lot of times, unfortunately things have to come to like a boiling point for us to realize that we need something else. Like that there's some other, resource that's going to help us move through life a bit more easily and to enjoy and have a better life, really. And so,
Absolutely.
I to any listeners, I just wanted to kind of name that there is the potential in this machine to proactively, in this, having this water, having access to it, to prevent that moment from happening, like to prevent. And that's something I think about a lot myself with having this machine now, is like, wow, that's like, I know drinking this water is keeping me healthy moving forward. Has your experience been similar in that way?
Absolutely. And it almost makes me want to cry when I think about it.
Yeah.
Because I really wish I would have bought one of these machines 10 years ago when my
Yeah.
friend showed me it. 'Cause I
Yeah.
feel like my wife would have never gotten cancer
Yeah.
if I had gotten this water in her life sooner.
Yeah.
It's absolutely something that I think about all the time, is that,
Yeah.
I could have prevented this from happening had I known. If
Yeah.
I had known, I would have done this a long time ago. And, the money that's involved in this to get involved with drinking this water, it seems like a lot for some people.
Yeah.
But it also seems like a drop in the bucket to others.
Yeah.
So, when you think about the medical costs
Mm.
that I've had to endure the last couple of years,
Yeah.
this machine was nothing.
Yeah.
I, I wish I would have bought one long, long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for sharing that, Leyland. And I hear you. And I just think that you and Malia have such a resilient spirit. Um, and just like the gentleman you spoke about who had that injury and bounced back, there's so much potential here for healing. And yeah, I mean, I hear you, and I can't imagine what that must be like, but I do trust in the timing of things, and I'm sure you've done everything that you could. Um,
Yeah, well, I don't like to live in regret, and wish
no,
that,
yeah, of course.
you, you can't do that. All you can live is in the present. And, that's what the present is. It's a present, it's
Yeah,
a gift.
that's right. I um I saw an old friend of mine here and reconnected and met her husband, and they're retired, and we had a really fun visit. And her husband, Peter, if you're listening to this, hi. um was so wonderful to meet, because he said he wanted to live to be, I think, over 100. I can't remember. He had a very specific number.
Don't we all?
um and he was just so delightful to listen to. And so he was saying to me that he likes to, I don't think, Peter, if you're listening, I think I'm fairly confident that you'd be okay with me disclosing this. Um, but that he just likes to have things in his life to support that goal. He and his
Right.
wife like to travel. They've got an RV, and they just like to kind of drive around and see folks. And so we were talking about the water in that context, and I said, I think this would really support your goal of living over 100. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
That's
there's
something
just,
I would definitely look forward to one day, getting to
yeah,
travel around the country in an RV. That sounds like a blast.
absolutely. Yeah. So there's just so many ways to come at this and to think about it. And I know that you guys obviously have kids, so that's another dimension to this. It's like bringing the water into your family. Like, what have you noticed, like, changes in your kids, or anything different, like, that they've kind of reflected back since having the water?
I'm not real sure if I've seen much difference in my children.
Right.
Most children don't have any health issues.
Yeah,
Uh,
right, of course.
for the most part, children are lively and healthy, and
That's right.
they're not having the problems that most adults are having.
Yeah.
Um, but my 9-year-old son is autistic, and I do feel like it has helped him a little bit. Um, he has been a little more verbal
Yeah,
since we've been
cool.
using the water. He was very nonverbal. He'll speak occasionally, but
Yeah.
very rare. And I feel like since drinking the water, he has become more verbal
Wow,
and
that's amazing.
comes up and requests for things and uses his, his questions really make a big difference in our life because then I don't have to guess what it is he wants.
Of
It
course.
makes it so much easier.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. I can't imagine. Yeah, awesome. Um, is there anything that you want to share around the experience you've had with sharing the water with other people? Like, I know that you've been a little further down the track and, shared this experience and this lifestyle change with more people than I have. If are there any things that you'd like to share around that, like experiences you've had or feedback from other folks?
Well, yeah. As far as helping others get involved with the water, I've definitely done that quite a lot in the last year. You being one of them, very grateful for that because I know that you've had some health issues yourself
Yeah,
in the past, and that's really where I'm trying to target is people that need help,
yeah,
that are having health issues. I mean, obviously, I believe everyone should have the best water because everyone drinks water.
yeah,
And
that's right.
not everyone can afford to drink the best water possible, or even have the opportunity or the resources to.
Of course.
Unfortunately, but I feel like that's something that everyone should be able to do.
Yeah,
And with the way that the world's going and all the pollution in the world, it's not getting any easier or better
yeah,
to access clean living water.
yeah,
If you're lucky enough to live in one of the few places in the world that has natural spring water bubbling up in your backyard and you have alkaline water
yeah,
for free, great, drink it. That's, I
yeah,
would do the same if I had it bubbling up in my backyard or in
yeah.
somewhere in my neighborhood. I would totally go source it there.
Mm,
But we don't have that opportunity, 99.9% of us don't get that. So,
that's right.
there's a lot of people out there like, well, I have a spring and I can, oh, well, great, that's awesome, but
Yeah,
not everybody does.
yeah, that's right.
And alkaline water is structured differently than most water.
Mm-hmm.
It's micro clustered, so it's 10 times smaller water structure than normal tap water. So it's going to be absorbed by your body that much easier. Being that the water molecules are smaller, they absorb the cellular walls that much easier.
Mm-hmm.
So you're absorbing the water on a cellular level, whereas
That's right.
regular water is not doing that for you.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's the difference. That's really the difference with alkaline water that I feel like when I try and drink about a gallon a day, and I I don't ever feel bloated. I don't know if you've
Mm.
noticed that, but
I actually,
pre
yeah, now that you say that, I
previous
have noticed
to
that.
previous to drinking this water, I drink a couple glasses of water and my stomach would feel bloated,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd go, do a couple jumping jacks and you can hear and feel the water
Yeah,
shaking around in your belly and like, oh my
totally.
God, like, with this, I can drink a huge glass of water and do jumping jacks and you don't feel anything gurgling around in your stomach. The
Yeah.
reason being is that the water is instantaneously absorbed throughout your whole body, not just your stomach.
Yeah.
And your brain is the first place it goes. Within 30 seconds of you drinking this water, it's absorbing into your brain.
Yeah.
So if you're highly dehydrated, this is the best thing you could do for your body is drink living water.
Yeah. Yeah. That I certainly noticed that. When I first drank it, like that I felt so much clearer mentally.
Right.
Um, just to get into a little bit of my story, my background, just for the listeners to have a bit of context. Um, my family, my grandfather built a racetrack um, in Georgia, and my family ran it for years. And all of the gasoline was leaded up until the early 80s.
So it was
Um,
like a motorbike track or like
it
a
was a
car racing track?
car racing track, a dirt track.
Okay,
And he built
that's
race
pretty cool.
cars. Yeah, yeah, it was. But there was a huge lead exposure to my
Right,
everyone because of it. And he built race cars and, soaked all the parts in gasoline, which makes a brilliant degreaser.
absolutely.
Um, but unfortunately, it also is the most absorbable form of lead. And with heavy metals, they, they stick around for thousands of years in the ground, and they are passed on. So I had a big heavy metal inheritance that I received.
I
And
see.
so a couple of years, well, 3 years back, basically what that means, and the way in which I figured this out was through genetic testing, which showed that I had a very weakened defense against certain toxins. And so it's really reshaped my life, because I've gone through I've chosen to, um, what started out as a detox became kind of long-term sustainable purification of my systems, because they eventually became so overwhelmed by the accumulation and the on top of the inheritance that the lights were kind of going out for me. And I was lucky enough to find a specialist who helped me through it. But water has been a huge part of the whole process for me. I mentioned a back injury earlier, non-recovery, like that was part of it. But that being said, the what you're talking about with the getting the molecular sort of hydration into on a cellular level has been huge for me, because one of my biggest um, challenges is being able to absorb things. Like, a lot of my systems are so maxed out from dealing with the heavy metals and being infiltrated by them, that it can be hard for my body to absorb nutrients. So
Absolutely.
as soon as I had the water, I was just like, oh my God, this is the thing I've been needing. I was just able to feel it. And ever since then, it's just been just an absolute godsend, being able to feel that level of absorption of things coming in.
Right. Yeah, when my wife came home and mentioned that she had talked to you about this and said that she shared the water with you and you felt the difference right away, I was shocked. I was kind of like, what? Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy because I don't feel anything, right away. Like it took me months to feel any differences. So
Yeah.
the fact that you felt something right away was shocking to me, and it told me that you obviously needed it
Yeah.
and that your body was sensitive enough to what you do put into your body that you were able to
Yeah.
recognize it right away. And
Yeah.
so that was something that, really excited me and made me really want to help you get this machine because it was
Oh,
so inspiring to hear that you felt it right away.
yeah. I appreciate that. I was in really rough shape, to be honest. And, it's just something I've um taken on board and accepted. I didn't think I would survive. The detox was very, very intense. It was during the pandemic, and I did it alone. And every day it was just kind of like, okay, I'll just see if, like, I was okay with it. I was actually thrilled that I finally knew what was going on,
Right.
because it took years and years of other issues and being told there's nothing wrong with you, and like, we don't know. And which I think is quite common. I think a lot of people have stuff going on with them, and they go to specialists and doctors, and they're like, there's nothing wrong with you, or it's all in your head. I got plenty of that. Um, you're making it up, that sort of thing. And so to finally find someone who was able to do the testing and to tell me, hey, this is actually what's going on with you, was absolutely a miracle, like an
You
answered
said that
prayer.
was through a genetic testing?
Yeah, well, initially it was through like the way that I found out was I went to I was having like some pain in my mouth, so I went to the dentist, and I got really sick afterward. And so I went to an integrative office, and I called them and I said, I just need to see, because someone had given me this doctor's name. They were like, oh, we can get you a naturopath. And I was like, yeah, I don't really need the whole naturopath. I don't want them looking at my life story. Like, I want to talk to this guy and just have an appointment with this doctor. So anyway, they ended up letting me do that. And then he referred me to I guess like a holistic dentist. And that was, and between the two of them, they kind of said, this seems like, because the holistic dentist dealt with people who had had heavy metal exposure
Okay.
with like amalgam fillings.
I was gonna say the mercury fillings, yeah.
That's right. So the mercury fillings are, I mean, if for what it's worth, never get a mercury filling. If you have one, get it removed. Like, they leach
Absolutely.
forever. They expand and contract, and they will crack your teeth. And that leaching of mercury will go directly into your bloodstream, and it doesn't leave. Um, so anyway, he was quite knowledgeable, and then he said, I think you should get tested, if you think that might be what's going on. And I did a hair mineral test,
Okay.
which is a really interesting, it's kind of like looking at rings on a tree. You can look at what's in your system, and it's, some people say it's a bit controversial, but it will definitely show you what's in your system. um, and I had everything through the roof. So I had aluminum, lead, mercury, nickel, cadmium, arsenic. Everything was
Wow.
just
Like
through.
every metal you could think of.
Yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
so when I saw that, I was just like, oh my God.
That's
And
scary. And then
I
like
will,
for
yeah,
the most part, I've always felt like some minerals and metals in your body are good for you, but
yeah, for sure.
not in a major state. Like a little bit is
Yeah.
okay, but not too
Oh,
much.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like things like lithium, we need a bit of that. It's just the
Gotta
heavy
charge your
metals.
batteries.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got to keep our batteries charged. It's funny too. Like, I've heard of communities, they've done studies on communities where they have spring water with trace amounts of lithium, and because they use lithium drugs, right, as antipsychotics. Um,
Okay,
but these communities that have access to water with just natural trace elements of lithium have a lower violent crime rate than other places, I've heard.
interesting.
So yeah, to your point, we do need some of these things in certain amounts, but it's very tricky. If things get beyond that, um, it can be poisonous. Um,
Right.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
fine line.
Yeah, it's very
So
interesting to think about heavy metals and how they can affect your body. And
yeah,
I always thought the word heavy metals seemed weird because when you eat it, it's not heavy. Or when you're consuming them, but they're heavier than the molecules that you're supposed to be putting in your body.
yeah, they're heavy, and they don't leave, like they don't, they stay in the ground for like I was saying, thousands of years. They don't really go anywhere. Like
Right.
that's the issue. Like they don't decompose, and they also, a lot of them can like they're transition metals, so they can merge with other elements and shift, and that's how they have longevity as well. And they
They're able
trick
to
the
morph.
Yeah, and they trick the body into thinking that they are actually other chemicals or other um molecularly, like lead is very similar, for instance, as calcium. So a lot of people, if they've had lead exposure, have lead in their bones. That's where it ends up getting stored because the body thinks it's calcium.
Interesting.
Um,
I didn't know that.
yeah, so if I injected you with lead today and then you got your blood drawn tomorrow, you probably wouldn't have any in your blood because your body would send it to your bones
Straight to the bones. Yeah.
because it thinks it's calcium. But with kids with a younger exposure, it gets stored more so in the brain, in the lungs and nervous system.
Which is why
But
it
it's
affects
different for
children so
everyone,
much.
and it's
Right.
exactly, yeah, which is why. Um, I think for me, knowing that I had an early exposure, I had a lot of really intense asthma issues growing up. I was in the hospital a lot. And then, because the bones calcify in, I think, the early 20s, um, and around, yeah, my mid 20s is when I started having back issues.
Right.
Um, and so it's interesting, like, and I'm sure that was when it moved, and it mobilizes and moves at different points. And anyway, it's been a big journey and I've learned a lot, but this water has really, it's just made such a difference. I mean, lead also goes through the blood-brain barrier for everyone. So, being sober and being eating clean for the last 3 years is actually like the most trippy thing I've ever done. I don't know
Absolutely.
if you've had this experience with, like eating really clean and drinking good water, is like you actually feel everything.
Absolutely. I mentioning that I did a master cleanse a while back and about to do one again here soon. But every time I do it, I feel totally recharged. Um, it's something I feel everyone should probably do at some point.
Yeah.
It gets your blood back to the normal state where it's supposed to be. The blood's flowing properly. Um, you're just getting all those heavy metals and toxins out of your body by detoxing for a number of days. I usually do it for about 10 to 14 days. And a lot of people freak out when you tell them they need to fast for that long. Like,
Yeah.
even for myself, when I first thought about it, I was like, what? Like, I can't even go 24 hours without eating. I'll literally die. Like,
Yeah,
that's the
you
way
seem
I
like
thought
you have
about it.
a fast metabolism,
I
so I
have a
can
very
imagine it.
fast metabolism. So thinking
Yeah.
about going more than a day without eating, I was like, I'm just going to shrivel up and die. Like,
I'm with
there's
you.
no way I
Yeah,
can do that. But,
totally.
actually, after 10 days of doing it, I felt like I could have kept doing it for the rest of my life. I felt like I didn't need to stop.
Yeah,
Um,
cool.
the first few days were the hardest, trying to do a cleanse, because your body's detoxing, your brain's going through all these issues.
Yeah.
It was, a lot of praying, trying
Yeah,
to, keep me strong through this. Don't let me eat because I know I
that's
can't.
right.
So I did pray, and
Yeah.
prayer seemed to help, but at the same time, the master cleanse was one of the most amazing things I try and do, and I feel like everyone should do that too. Alkaline water is
Yeah.
great, but doing a master cleanse and not eating for 10 days to 2 weeks can make a big difference in your gut.
Yeah.
Realigns your whole body.
That's right. Yeah, and it does become a bit of a spiritual experience. I mean, because you can feel you enter another state that is a bit closer to, I don't want to say death, but it's just more intimately, you can feel yourself and your essence and like your mortality and like
Absolutely.
there's something so sacred about that. I mean, when I think back on kind of the roughest parts of my detox, it's like there was something about it that was really peaceful, at the same time where I was able to really meet myself and say, okay, this is me. Like,
Right.
this is who I'm dealing with. And like, this is pretty good. Like, I'm pretty good with like me, and then you come out of it with something different than you had going
Hmm.
into it. Um,
Yeah, I kind of forgot, but after you do a cleanse, the first thing you put into your body, it's amazing what you feel. When
yeah.
the first solid food I ate after 10 days of not eating anything but liquids, I started off with a liquid meal with a smoothie. I took a banana, an
Mm-hmm.
organic banana and an organic orange, and I blended the two in a blender and I
Yeah.
drank it. And the
Yeah.
orange for the vitamin C and the potassium and all the
Oh
other
yeah.
minerals from the bananas. The two, just one orange and one banana, I felt like I was just electric all of a sudden. My whole body was vibrating.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
could feel the energy from the fruit that I had just eaten.
Yeah.
And I had never felt like that before when I ate food. You eat food and you're like, okay, you just go on with your life and you don't feel anything.
Yeah.
And
The
that's
life
because
force.
you weren't really absorbing it properly because your gut is so toxic for
Yeah.
most people that they're not absorbing the nutrition properly. So after doing the
Mhm.
cleanse, when I put that in my body absorbed the what it needed right away, and I could feel it.
Yeah.
I mean, I
That's
literally
right.
felt like a full electric charge going
Yeah.
through my body.
Wow. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
it was pretty amazing. And so that's something I look forward to every time I do a cleanse.
Yeah.
Getting back to that level and feeling the energy when you eat food, like how great you actually feel from it.
Yeah. Absolutely. How often do you do those?
Not enough, but I try at least once a year. But I took a medicinal herb course in college
Oh,
from
cool.
a man named Leyland and I, who was my professor at University of Hawaii, and he he taught me how to live a better lifestyle and how to cleanse your body through herbs and through
Mm,
different plants. And he was the one that first started me on the cleansing journey.
cool.
As part of the course, that was in the class, you actually had to do a 24-hour fast as part of his class and
Wow.
reflect back on it and write an essay. And
Yeah.
so that was my first experience with fasting, actually, was in college. And
Cool.
the immediate effect I felt from that was really neat. And so since then, I've always wanted to continue that and continue the cleanses. But he said that you should be doing that just like you do a car. As your grandfather being a mechanic,
Yep.
most people change their oil in their car 3 to 4 times a year.
That's right.
So that's exactly what we should be doing to our bodies. We should at least 3 to 4 times a year be
Yeah.
cleaning out your intestines,
Yeah.
relubricating everything, putting a new filter in,
I love it.
starting all over. You're starting all over just like you would with a car. You got to
That's right.
take all the old stuff out, put the new stuff
Yep.
in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how he described it. Do
That's
an oil change
fantastic.
every 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. Yeah. I love a good automotive metaphor, I have to say. It's so true. I mean, we can't just, drive and overdrive, 365 days a year. We have to
Right.
take care of this physical unit, that gets us around.
It was shocking to hear my professor, in class, the day he was talking about doing the cleanses and teaching everyone. He said he does it, 3 to 4 times a year, sometimes more. And he asked everyone in the class, who's done a fast? Who's done this before? Not one person raised their hand.
Wow.
And here I am in college. I was in, my 20s at that point. I was 19 or 20. And just to think that I'd never done a cleanse
Yeah.
in my entire life, and you should be doing it every 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
It was shocking to me.
So did he, yeah, I mean, that is, yeah, I mean, I guess it was probably not even that popular at that point either. I mean, now I think people are really um doing these detoxes and cleanses a lot more readily.
Right.
But did he have anything that he suggested to do afterward? Like, so, once you end it, like you say, like kind of just easing back in, like, because I know that that's something that doesn't
That
get
was
talked
that was
about a
his
lot.
suggestion, is actually eating the banana and the orange afterwards. That was
Yeah.
one of his recommendations, is the first thing to put back into your body to introduce.
Yeah.
And to slowly ease into eating again,
Yeah.
to the solid foods, because after being, going that many days without solid food, if you were to just eat a steak right away,
Yeah.
not that you actually physically probably couldn't,
Probably
because I
could. Yeah.
I didn't have the urge to eat any solid foods
Yeah.
right away, and I felt like I probably would have puked it out if I had eaten a piece of steak right away,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or
Totally.
or meat of any kind. So I started off with fruits and vegetables, ate salads for several days,
Yeah.
introduced basically just a plant diet and salads, a lot
Yeah.
of salad,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
and just ate a lot of raw foods.
Yeah.
For the first several days that I was introducing foods back into my body,
Mm.
and then gradually, as I got that craving of like, okay, now I'm kind of craving a burger, or a
Yeah.
piece of chicken or whatever, I would
Totally.
go to that. But it definitely took me a good week or more before I
Yeah.
felt like I was even ready for something like that.
That's interesting. Like, I actually find, for me, I mean, everybody's different, of course. Um, Raw food is actually really, I don't know, I have to really be feeling good in terms of like how my gut is to I try to minimize raw food just because like I try to give my body, stuff that's very easy to digest, and like cooked
Right.
stuff is already, halfway
It's
there.
halfway digested. Right.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, but I mean, of course I love raw food. Yeah, it's just interesting how much I think, in general, like the way that medicine has structured, what health is, has really kind of homogenized that we're all the same. We all need the same things. And, we all get a prescription or whatever it may be, prognosis. But, the reality is we are all very different. We have a different lineage, a different place that we came from, that has shaped, what our bodies need, and who we are and how our
Absolutely.
bodies function. So it's interesting to hear all of that, because I just love looking at the differences in what people need and like what serves them, and even just at different points in life. It's like, I think there's all these trends nowadays of like what to do to be healthy and all these detoxes and stuff. And I think actually 3 times a year sounds like really good, but I think doing too many detoxes, I've been hearing of people getting sick and stuff like that
Sure.
from, just overdoing it. And I think it's a really healthy impulse to detox, but I do think it does, it warrants some moderation and just care,
Absolutely.
you know, um, and especially in recovering, because again, like with me, there's the detox was one thing, but it's actually been even harder, like, to get good stuff back in. It's like you can get the bad stuff out and then get something to sort of assist with removing the bad stuff, like vitamin C, for instance, is great. Chelate, like in oranges and blueberries. But it's like then after that's happened, it's like what are we doing to put good stuff back in? And things like bone
How do
broth
you
have been
need to
invaluable to me.
rebalance? Absolutely.
Yeah,
Bone broth is actually a great source. It's something my wife drank weekly throughout her
that's
process
right.
with chemotherapy and radiation. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's a big help. I mean, she would go through chemotherapy treatments, and they test your blood when you're going through these treatments weekly, and so they can see what you're putting into your body
mm,
because of your blood and
yeah,
the blood tests, and your white blood cells and your red blood cell counts go up and down, fluctuate depending on what you're doing to your body.
yeah,
The medicines obviously can make a big difference too. They're making the white cell count come down because you're putting all these chemotherapy medicines into your body that are very acidic
yeah,
and trying
of
to
course.
basically kill off every cell in your body.
Yeah,
At the same time, your body's trying to rebuild every cell in your body at the same time.
sure.
So it's got to be kind of a confusing time for your body.
Physically,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
but yeah, the bone broth, I felt like when the doctors told my wife that her counts were low, she would drink the bone broth and it would spike right back up to where they needed to be.
Wow.
So really good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I remember she and I were nerding out about bone broth now that you say that.
Yeah.
Um,
She was juicing and still is juicing
yeah.
and drinking fresh juices every day
Oh man.
and still doing the bone broth. And
Yeah. I do
yeah,
miss Kauai juices, I have to say. Kauai juices and what's the one that's so strong and magical? I can't think of Noni.
noni,
Oh man,
yes,
I miss
noni's
Noni.
noni's one of the magical Hawaiian fruits out there. It's
Yeah.
a Hawaiian medicine.
Yeah. I was so lucky to have it while I was there. This has been awesome. Is there anything else that you want to cover, Leyland, before we wrap up? This has just been such a joy to have this conversation.
Not a whole lot. I really hope that people can get excited about living water, and if there's something that they have questions about or feel like, if you have questions or want to learn more, reach out to myself or Octavia, and we'll share more with you.
Yeah.
And this is also something that can be a business opportunity for you. And if you're having income problems and something that you feel like you might be able to share with people, and get out and make some extra money because you're having a hard time getting through, paying your bills, this can offset some of those problems. For me, I didn't get involved in this company for that. I got it to help save my wife's life, literally.
Yeah.
Um, but after a few months of drinking the water, I went, wow, this stuff's amazing, and I gotta help people get it and
Yeah.
help other
Yeah.
people get this in their lives. And so I
Yeah.
looked at it as a business opportunity
Yeah.
several months later and went, wow, I could make some money on doing this, and maybe eventually quit my day job because
Yeah.
I'm a bartender, and I don't know if I want to bartend the rest of my life.
Yeah, of course.
As much as I enjoy it, and it's kind of a toxic environment when you think
Yeah,
about it.
sure.
I've for the last year and a half been hardly drinking. I think I've maybe had a handful of drinks, maybe 10
Yeah.
cocktails in a year and a half,
Yeah.
and it's been a complete lifestyle change drinking this water. And
Yeah.
it's kind of awkward and hard being in a bar and
I
having
bet.
all that alcohol at your disposal and yet not wanting to drink any of it. And
Yeah, of
at the
course.
same time, it hasn't really been a challenge. Like people trip out, they're like, "What? You don't drink?" And I'm like, "No,
Yeah,
I drink occasionally, like for celebratory reasons or whatever, but other than that, like I try not to anymore. And I used to
yeah,
drink all the time, like almost nightly at work, or
yeah,
after work, so I'd get
sure.
home and drink to go to bed. And now I don't. So it's a complete lifestyle change.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I hear you about wanting just to share it. It's like it's taken me so long to get to this point, and to find it feels like such a huge victory, that it's like I have that really similar like feeling that you're describing of just wanting other people to have like just to try it and have this experience and see what it does, like if it's you
Right.
know
Well,
something that is gonna, yeah, just benefit them and make them feel
it not
better.
only benefits the person that's drinking it, but it benefits the environment, the world.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
look at how much pollution's going into the world. The average person's throwing away anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 plastic bottles a year into the ocean. Like
Yeah,
maybe not intentionally, but that's where majority of them are going.
yeah.
And I was guilty of that too.
Oh
I
yeah,
would totally go to Costco and buy cases and cases of bottled water.
yeah,
And I'm happy to say the last year and a half, I haven't bought a bottle of water from anywhere. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
refuse.
I know, same.
And,
Yeah,
it's wild.
yeah,
This is what I drink now out of my glass bottle that I
that's
refill
right.
every morning with my machine. And I feel
Yeah,
like just that alone, I'm helping save the planet by not polluting. And
yeah. I
I
hear
pollute
you.
in other ways, but as much as we can to eliminate pollution is awesome. So,
I
if there's someone out there that wants to, help contribute to saving the world and not polluting, this is for you. You might not
Yeah.
think so, but this is for you.
The other total paradigm shift that's happened with me with this is understanding, because there's um with the K8 machine that you have and that I have, um basically understanding that harsh chemicals aren't necessary for cleaning, that's just been created by manufacturers.
Right.
So like I had COVID not long ago because I moved overseas and was on a plane, and it just was inevitable. And I
It's the
bounced back
scary
pretty
thing about
quickly.
travel nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, travel historically has been associated with illness since
Right.
the beginning of time. um, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Captain Cook came to Hawaii and brought a whole bunch of illnesses here.
yeah,
And
that's
maybe even
right.
got exposed to illnesses that he wasn't exposed to until he got here. So
Yeah, that's right.
goes both ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It does. But I ended up using 11.5 water. I was like sniffing it to try to clean out my sinuses.
Okay.
Um, because I was reading, there's all these different uses that are available with this water, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Hundreds of uses.
yeah, and then I noticed that like the shower drain was a little bit clogged, and I was like, I wonder, let me look. And I was like, oh yeah, this will unclog the shower drain too. But it's so interesting to make that connection between like, oh, I can actually use this as like saline to like sniff to like clear out
Right.
it, like it'll unclog everything. You know what I mean?
Yep. It's a degreaser, so it degreased your nasal passage basically. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And same with the drain. And it's like thinking about things like Drano and chemicals that are like the most harsh. Same with bleach and with the
Yep.
2.5. It's like, one of the most kind of aha moments I remember coming over to your house and you were refilling water for me, and you were like, yeah, I don't have any chemicals underneath my sink anymore. And you showed me, and I just thought, wow, like I want that to look, I want underneath my sink to be like that. Like I want to have no
Right.
chemicals. So that has
You
been
know,
a
it's
amazing part of it as well for me.
absolutely. I feel like that's probably one of the cooler things about this water too, is that, I didn't know you could do so many things with water. I just thought water was water, you drink it and that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, different pH levels of water have different uses. So the 2.5 water is hypochlorous acid, which is very similar to bleach,
Mm-hmm.
and it will literally sanitize just like bleach. So 99.99% of all bacteria are killed off when you spray 2.5 water on your hands or on any other surface,
Mm-hmm.
just like alcohol or bleach.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people during COVID actually got involved with this company and got a
Oh,
machine,
okay.
because so many people were freaking out about sanitizer,
Mm,
and there was such a global shortage of sanitizer out there
that's right. Yeah.
that a lot of people were getting this just for that reason.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty amazing. And
Yeah, that makes sense.
if I had known about that during COVID, I probably would have jumped on board for that too. Because I
Oh,
mean, I bought
yeah.
hundreds of dollars worth of sanitizers,
Yeah.
and putting alcohol sanitizer into your system isn't good for you. You're
No.
absorbing rubbing alcohol, and that's not
Yeah.
good for you either. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's
amazing all the different uses. I use the 6.0 beauty water for, for my face, for my hair.
yeah,
I'm not sure if you're doing that yet, but I
I
literally bathe
am.
in it every day.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome.
Yeah, I
And yeah,
stopped
I
using
use it. I use
conditioner.
it for gardening. Yeah, I don't use conditioner anymore. I literally
Yeah,
rinse my hair with it, and my hair feels great. I mean, been over a year
same.
without it.
Yeah.
I had major dandruff before. It was
Oh,
probably
really?
because of all the chlorine in the water.
Oh,
The chlorine's
it's
drying your
so
scalp,
intense.
and
Yeah.
it's just that's a big difference that I can feel, and don't feel like I have that psoriasis kind of itchy feel in my hair anymore.
Yeah,
And
totally.
like I said, I use the beauty water for my garden. I put it on my plants, being that it's about the same exact pH as rain. It's
Yep.
great for your plants.
Oh, the
Great
plants
for
love
your
it.
skin.
Yeah.
So yeah, the different uses of the water are very, very cool, and that's something that we can always go over and break down more if people have questions about that.
Yeah, for sure. Any questions, like feel free to reach out to either one of us. I know that we're both similarly passionate about this water and all the ways that it's touched our lives and the people around us that we care about in their lives. So yeah, thank you so much, Leyland. I have a feeling we might do this again in the future.
Sure,
I'm
yeah, I'd
totally open to
definitely be
it.
down to do it again.
Yeah, cool. And thank you all for tuning in with us. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
I don't know. I'm sure there is, but
Yeah,
nothing's coming to mind right at the moment. But
cool.
you know, why don't I share my wife real quick
Yeah,
and just
please. I would love
just
that.
let everyone see her real quick. And
Oh yeah, absolutely.
she's gone from having a full head of hair to being completely bald, going through the whole chemotherapy and radiation process. And it's been about a year and a half now. Her hair's growing back, and it's a couple, 2, 3 inches long now, and she's beautiful as ever. And anyway,
Totally.
let me let her jump on here real quick so we can say hi real
Awesome.
quick. Thank you so much, Octavia. I look
Yeah,
forward to doing
Layla,
this
a
again
pleasure
sometime soon.
always. Yeah, sounds great.
Here's
Anytime.
Malia, just a second. Hello, you guys.
Okay, perfect. Aloha. Yay,
Hi.
Malia. Hi. So good to see
Hi.
you. Welcome.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to have you. What a nice surprise. I was just we were I'm sure you just heard us talking about your adventures with the water and mine and how our paths cross. It's been just such a blessing.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely, yeah, the water definitely helps everyone.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I just really appreciate you guys being so willing to share your story. It's kind of given me permission to feel like I could share mine. So thanks so much for that and for all of your generosity with the
Well,
water.
thank you. I'm glad my husband, I'm glad Leyland could share the stories and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm still drinking the water. I'm almost done with my treatment. So,
Fantastic.
I try to, and like how Leyland was saying, we have 1 week left, 7 more days, I'm
Really?
done. Yes, I'm so
Congratulations.
excited.
Oh, that's
Yes. So, but
awesome.
yeah, this water I think has definitely, like, I'm ready to like just cleanse my body and get all these toxins out. And
Yeah.
I heard Layla talking about all the different types of the water and all the different uses. And
Yeah.
he was talking about the 2.5 one, and I was using that when I was doing radiation. It actually helped with my radiation burns,
Wow. That's
because they were
incredible.
giving, like, they were giving me creams and stuff, and it was just way too moist, and it was almost like infecting me more of my
Yeah.
scars. And I just sprayed the 2.5 water, and and
Yep.
my body healed. Like in 2 days,
Wow.
like 2 to 3 days, all the moisture left and it healed,
That's
and then, yeah, I
incredible.
spray the beauty water for my hair and try to get my eyebrows
Yeah.
back, my eyelashes back, and
You look
you
like a
know,
movie star, to be honest. Like you look like a movie star. You look amazing, Malia.
I feel like an X-Man with my gray hair right now, but
You know what? I've been hoping that I would go gray, honestly. I've been like wishing to go gray for years. So I have
mm.
to say I'm a little bit envious of like your salt and pepper situation.
Well, I just try to embrace the new healthy, I don't really want to dye my hair, we're just trying to get
Yeah.
rid of all the chemicals. And, like you said, like it's a whole lifestyle change, and it starts with our water. And, like Lena was saying, like, I don't even drink anymore. And I used to like come home from school, I'm like, okay, I need a cocktail, I need some
Sure.
wine. And now I'm
Yeah.
like, I tell my students, hey, I need to drink this gallon of water like today. Like you guys tell me. So I have like, Miss Swenson, drink your water every hour. So I'm
Yes.
like, okay, but yeah, got away from the alcohol, and just trying to do better. And like, I don't drink coffee anymore. I used to
Really?
drink, oh yeah, I used to drink coffee.
Wow.
I talk about acidic state. I used to drink coffee with, like, I was thinking, gosh, I had coffee with a bunch of creamers all the time,
Yep.
every
Yep.
morning. And I would just drink coffee all day long. I wouldn't just have like,
Yeah.
I drink it like, slowly throughout the whole day, right? You're busy,
Yeah. Yeah.
as being a
Yeah.
teacher with me, we're drinking coffee
I
so
do.
slowly. And so now, and then I'd barely come home and I would have like a cocktail, and I'd barely drink water. I was never a water drinker. And now I'm
Yeah.
literally drinking, half a gallon a day, or a gallon
Yep.
a day. Especially when I was doing chemo, I would definitely do a gallon a day. I would do a
Yep.
gallon before my chemo and before radiation or anything like that. And then a gallon after my chemo, and just try
Yep.
to get it all out. I mean, I had rarely no side effects, you
Wow.
know?
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So I wasn't fatigued. I didn't feel fatigued. I didn't, I wasn't sick, nausea. I didn't have anything like that. And I really think it was because of the water, and because it just kind of
Yeah.
helped get the toxins out and help get, once it kind of worked, get all that stuff out of you. So it wasn't just
Yeah,
sitting
that's
in your
right.
system. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible, Malia. I'm so glad that you were able to find it when you did.
Well,
I'm
it's like how Layla was saying, when you when you get diagnosed with something, and it's like your life's on the line, you're gonna do
yeah.
whatever you want. You know what I mean? You're gonna do, like, you
Yeah.
don't care about the cost, you know what I mean? You're gonna be
That's
like,
right.
hook me up with water. Lady was like, babe, we need to get this machine. I'm like, do it now. I don't care. We got the money, take it out of our
Yeah, yeah,
savings, just
yeah.
do it. I didn't
Yeah.
care. I was like, I wasn't going like, oh, geez, my
Yeah.
life, or, some money. Like, yeah, I was like, yeah, my life. I
Right.
could care less, and like you
Yeah.
said, I wish we could have done it earlier. And I even knew about the water before too. And I mean, when I first came to my school in Hanalei, I had a student who was like trying to hook me up with this water machine. And I'm like, okay, yeah, just another gimmick kind of thing. And I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah.
And here I
That's
am
right.
later having the same machine. And, it's not like we're not living with regrets, but now we're just like, we're clean, our body's clean.
Yeah.
I'm in recovery. I'm med or whatever. I'm a survivor right now, so I'm good. I'm just taking this medication to kind of take up any residuals, cancer, or anything like that. But
Yeah.
other than that, the doctor said I'm good. So I'm just, trying to get
I
the
have
toxins
to
out and
say,
keeping out of it. So
it's been amazing to see you like at the school, working together and seeing you there teaching and running around and like just in full power, like through this process has been amazing to witness. And I think that you inspire everyone around you in that way. I mean, I don't want to speak for other people, but for me anyway, like I'm just amazed by what you've been able to do, knowing what you've been going through. Um, it's just been incredible to witness. And I'm
thanks. Well,
just,
sometimes strong when the only way to, when you have no other choice, you have to be
yeah,
strong. It's
that's
kind of
right.
like imagine how strong you are when you really have no other choice to be. So
Yeah.
I had to do it. I couldn't, my students were very supportive.
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
I was bald, I had a wig on all year. And then I had to
Yeah.
take off my wig after Christmas, and they
It
were
was so
supportive seeing
cool.
my hair. They were like,
It was
who's
amazing.
that?
Yeah, seeing that transition, I was like, oh my God, she looks amazing. Because I had
But
no
I was,
idea.
yeah, it was just again, just spraying the water and just trying to, praying and just trying to be positive and just keeping a
Yeah,
positive outlook on everything, that really helps. So, hey,
absolutely. Well, thanks again
but
for jumping on, Malia, and sharing your story. I'm sure that it's just touching everyone who's listening. I'm sure we'll get so much out of this. Is
thank
Leyland
you.
there? Is he gonna
Yeah,
does he
he's
have
right
more
here.
to
Let me
say?
just put him on his, yeah, he's got here. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Octavia. I
Thank you,
really appreciate
Malia.
you.
Oh,
Here.
it's always so good to see you. Mwah.
Good to see you. Aloha.
Aloha.
Octavia, I just wanted to add one last thing.
Sure.
Um, I did think about, I just, in case anybody did want to reach out to you or myself, I wasn't sure if anyone would know how. Anyway, if you want
Oh
to
yeah.
change your water and change your life,
Beautiful.
Enagic's the company that I work for and that you work
Enagic.
for. Change your water, change
Yes.
your life. This
I
is the
will be
back.
yeah, I will be sure to include this
I don't know if you can read
information.
that, but
No, it's great. I love taking screenshots of videos when people put things up like this, personally. But I
that's a
will
good
be
way to get a hold of myself, or go ahead and
yeah.
get a hold of Octavia.
Yeah, I'll be sure to put our information in the show notes, so that there's links and contacts for sure.
Awesome.
And we can find you. Where can we find you on socials? You've got your Instagram?
Yep, on Instagram at Leyland _ Swenson. And
Perfect.
it's right there on the card, right at the bottom
Okay,
there.
great. So you can find Leyland on Instagram. I'm on there as well. And like I said, we'll be including more contact details in the show notes. So anyway, I think that will do for today. And again, I can imagine this happening again. Thank you guys so
Absolutely.
much.
Look forward to doing this again with you, Octavia, and I hope
Yeah,
you're having a good time there in Australia.
I am. I am. Thanks so much. All right, you guys take care.
You too. Have a great day.
All right.
Right
Aloha.
on. Aloha.